When someone says pregnancy loss, people picture one thing, the baby. And that loss is real and it's devastating. But nobody prepared me for how much else I was about to lose alongside it. Today, I want to talk about those losses, the ones that don't get named, the ones nobody sends a card for. Hi, I'm Bianca Johnson, empowerment coach, author, and speaker. I work with lost parents navigating pregnancy loss, grief, and if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. So let's get into it. Because there are 4 categories of loss that I want to walk through today. And I want to start with the ones that hit the deepest, the ones that change who you are inside. I think the first loss that nobody talks about is the loss of identity and belief. One of the biggest ones for me was the loss of naivety, the loss that things just work out. The belief that getting pregnant equals a baby. It was a very difficult one for me to integrate because I no longer could be truly happy for other people who were announcing their pregnancies. I had lost the belief that a pregnancy equals baby. And that loss of naivety made me less of a accommodating friend, less of an excited person. It changed who I was forever. One of the other things I lost was even more loss of trust in my body. I, as a large woman, grew up with a complicated relationship with my body. I was tall and bigger bodied from my late teens. And so I have lived with a Western society distrust in my body and how it presents in the world for a long time. Losing pregnancies and feeling like my body had let me down became a real part of who I was and is a major loss that I experienced. One of the other things is just the loss of that belief that things just work out. I had been very lucky for most of my life to really feel that that was who I was. I had a generally optimistic outlook on most things. 6 pregnancy losses out of 8 pregnancies can really take away that feeling of things just working out. I also lost a sense of safety in the world, and I recognize that many people have different levels of a sense of safety in the world, and I am not dismissing any of those. But I think pregnancy loss adds a whole nother layer to that experience, whether you are a minority or people of color or people who present to the world differently than how the world wants to perceive them. There is a genuine lack of safety in our world at the moment, but I think pregnancy loss adds to that, and it can be a truly devastating loss. Although pregnancy loss wasn't the cause for my loss of religious or spiritual beliefs, I do believe that there are a lot of people who've experienced pregnancy loss where that has been a major factor in them losing their religious or spiritual beliefs. That is a really tough one to carry with you, particularly when it's been a part of who you are for a very long time. It can feel really unsettling to lose that security in a way of belief system that has held you through most of your life. Secondly, I want to talk about the relationship and societal losses that are experienced when you experience pregnancy loss. For me, that was a major one, was a loss of friendships. A lot of my friends were similar ages. They had children much sooner than I did. And then when I was struggling to have children, those friendships were harder to continue because I was the sad friend. I was the friend who they couldn't talk about baby things or that sort of stuff around. It was quite a difficult thing to lose friendships over pregnancy loss. At the time when I really needed the support, it was often a topic that people didn't really want to talk about. Although I was very lucky in that my husband and my relationship grew stronger through all of the chaos of our fertility journey, a lot of people in the communities that I'm in have expressed a loss of partnership or marriage because of pregnancy loss. It is something that can highlight how 2 people deal with things differently. It can highlight belief systems that maybe don't align anymore. On top of losing a pregnancy and a baby and something that important to you, you may lose someone who was really important to you as well. And that is a really tough thing to have to carry as well. And then I think a smaller one that has quite a lot of consequences as well is a loss of community, a loss of belonging to a world you thought you were about to join. I know when I first found out I was pregnant, I joined an online forum for moms who were expecting babies in a particular month. And then a few weeks later, had to leave those groups because I was no longer pregnant. And that was really difficult because you'd started to chat and built up friendships and had conversations and dreamt together in community. And now you were no longer part of those communities. The third category of loss that I want to talk about is your future and dream losses, the loss of due dates, the nursery, the version of your future that you'd imagined. When I saw those 2 lines soon after we got married, I, within seconds, had thought about how my pregnant body would look in my uniform, what I would look like, how pregnant I would be at Christmas, because it's one of our favorite times of the year. I had mentally done the math to see where I was going to be when that pregnancy was going to be due. Was I going to be hot or cold? What clothes was I going to wear when I had a new baby? I had imagined things like future Christmases and birthdays and how old the baby would be when I was at a milestone birthday. I had dreamed so far into the future that I had dreamed about their wedding and having grandchildren and all of those sorts of things. And all of a sudden, when that pregnancy was lost, all of those things went. It wasn't just the baby that I'd lost, but it was this dream of what my life was going to look like in the future. And then a key one is the loss of identity as the mother you thought you were becoming. And this was a really, really hard one for me because we had booked a Mother's Day concert. And at the time that we booked, I was pregnant, and I would have been quite heavily pregnant by that stage. But when we were at the concert, it was a week after I'd lost my third pregnancy in a year. I didn't present as a mother. I felt like a mother. I'd held 3 babies in my womb already. I was desperate to feel like a mother to the world, but the world didn't see me as that. And I didn't have a baby in my arms. And I didn't know if I was ever going to have a baby in my arms. And it was a heartbreaking thing to sit at this Mother's Day concert where all of these mothers were being acknowledged for what they had done in the world. And here I was feeling like a mother to myself, but not being identified as a mother from the outside. And that was heartbreaking. For many women, if they can't have a baby, that identity is lost. And I deeply feel that anyone who has carried a pregnancy and wants to identify as a mother deserves that. But society doesn't let us feel that. I think also the loss of the vision of what your family was going to look like. When my husband and I were dating, I told him I wanted a soccer team. I wanted a huge family. I have always wanted a big family with lots of children. And it was quite difficult to acknowledge that my dreams of the big family just wasn't going to happen. I had visions of 5 or 6 children and them having children themselves and having this big, beautiful family that would come around for special occasions in future years. And now there's just the 2 of them. I love them and they're exactly what our family needs. But I have also had to grieve that loss of the idea of what I wanted for my family. And then finally, I want to chat about the practical losses, the things that very seldom are talked about. The loss of income or savings. Pregnancy loss is highly emotional and devastating and can affect your productivity, whether you are employed or you're running your own business. That can directly affect your income. And from a savings perspective, even if you are able to function at work and produce the same income that you've always been producing, The problem often comes that it reduces our savings because we spend money on extra doctor's appointments and our alternative therapies and medicine, all of the things to support you through a pregnancy. Often those things are not covered. And so you're spending your savings to support yourself through that pregnancy loss. A big one for me as well was the loss of trust in medicine. I interacted with some doctors and other medical professionals who left me feeling wanting, who dismissed my deeply emotional reactions to all of my losses. That left me feeling distrustful of the medical industry. There were medicines that failed me. It is heartbreaking to not know what went wrong, to have this feeling of just not trusting the medical industry as much as I maybe did before. And then I think there's also a loss of a trust in nature, in our ability to procreate and those sorts of things. It's this bigger loss of trust in just the fact that the world will be okay. I think in this day and age where the world is in so much chaos so often, that adding another level of distrust and a loss of safety is hard for anyone. If any of this is landing for you, I really do hope that you'll subscribe. I talk about this every week. There's a new video on Mondays, and there's a lot more where this came from. I think something that's really important for everyone to understand, though, is you can't grieve what you haven't named. So many lost parents are carrying weight they didn't even have words for yet. I'd love to know which of these surprised you. Which ones have you been carrying without a word for it? Tell me in the comments or come find me at biancajohnson.me. And if you want to keep going, I've linked a playlist here and your next video is right here. I look forward to seeing you there.